Firewall Podcast, Episode 2, Active Construction Intro. Alright, stop polishing your office chair with your butt and listen up. This is your wake-up call from the land of the emotionally screwed. I'm Timothy Renier. Welcome back to Firewall, Episode 2, Active Construction. This is Part 2 of a 3-part series on dealing with the narcissistic chuckleheads in your life. Specifically, the ones who are supposed to love you, but whose main hobby seems to be using your soul as a stress ball. Last week, Episode 1, was the oh crap moment. That was the inspection. We kicked the emotional drywall, found the termites, and showed you the blueprints to your own personal hell. You identified the weak spots, the guilt trips, the blame shifting, the whole rigged game. You realized you're not crazy, you're just living in a broken system. Knowing you've got a leaky roof doesn't stop the rain. So today, in Episode 2, we pick up the tools. We're done diagnosing. We're building. This episode is called the Firewall Active Construction. We're moving from the what's wrong to the what now. We're crafting your responses, putting up the soundproofing, and installing the emotional security system. You're not just running around with a bucket anymore. You're becoming the contractor of your own peace. We've got your game plan, the mindset shift from victim to protector, your arsenal of verbal Kevlar, and the step-by-step protocols to shut down the drama before it starts. Consider this your toolbox. Let's get to work. Now, the main rule for this whole production? No JADE. That's an acronym. It stands for J for justify, A for argue, D for defend, E for explain. Here's the game plan. The cornerstone recap. A swift kick in the pants to remember the mindset you need so these tools don't end up in your garage next to the ab roller. Today's mission statement. What does winning even look like? Spoiler, it's not changing their mind. It's ending the conversation with your dignity intact. Neutral phrases, your verbal Kevlar. We'll give you the boring, non-committal, deflective lines that turn their dramatic monologue into a mumble. The principle of strategic communication. How to share just enough so they think they're in the loop, without giving them the keys to the control room. Scripting your firewall protocols, introducing the when-then rules. This is your autopilot. You decide the moves now, so you don't have to think when they're lobbing grenades. If this didn't make your ears bleed and actually helped, hit that like button. It feeds the algorithm, which is the digital version of tossing a sausage to the pit bull so it doesn't chew your leg off. And if you want more of this, hit subscribe. Don't make me beg. It's pathetic. Firewall Podcast, Episode 2, Segment 1, welcome back, and the building phase. Let's get straight to the miserable business at hand, protecting your peace. And that starts not with a tool, not with a technique, but with a complete overhaul of the wetware between your ears. You need to delete the old mission statement. Here's the new one. Your goal is not to win the argument. Winning an argument with a narcissist is like winning a pie-eating contest, where the prize is more pie. You just end up sick and covered in filling. Your goal is not to make them see your point. You might as well try to explain orbital mechanics to a golden retriever. There's just head tilting, and then they go back to licking themselves. Your goal is definitely not to change their behavior. Trying to change a narcissist's behavior is like trying to change the direction of a freight train by standing on the tracks and yelling, "Whoa!" The result is predictable, messy, and entirely your fault for being on the tracks. Chasing any of those old goals? That's you, stuck in their carnival booth, throwing softballs at milk bottles that are glued to the shelf. You're just wasting your money and your arm, and the carnie's laughing at you. So shut down that old program. Here is the new, singular, non-negotiable objective. Your goal is to protect your inner operating system. Think of your mental and emotional core like the server room for your life. It's where the important stuff runs. Your job is not to debate every piece of spam that tries to ping the firewall. Your job is to be the sysadmin. Your only job is to run the filter. You are not a debater. You're the guy in the chair with the bad coffee, monitoring the alerts and hitting DE&Y on the malicious data packets before they ever get inside to corrupt the system. Stop trying to fight the virus. Just stop letting it in. That's the only way any of this works. Firewall Podcast, Episode 2, Segment 2, Family Overview. Alright, listen up. If you grew up in a family run by a narcissist, a parent whose world orbits entirely around their own fragile ego, then you didn't have a normal family. You had a dysfunctional corporation with a CEO who's a petty tyrant. And in every one of these broken corporations, there are two mandatory, pre-assigned roles, the scapegoat and the golden child. Let's break down the cast of characters in this lousy production. First, you've got the scapegoat. That's you. You're the family's emotional landfill. Every problem, every bad mood, every failure of the narcissist's life is your fault. The fridge is empty? You must have eaten everything. Their career stalled? You distracted them. The sky is cloudy? You brought the wrong vibes. You're not a person to them. You're a dumping ground. Your primary function is to absorb blame so the narcissist never, ever has to look in the mirror. You're criticized for existing, for having needs, for daring to have your own thoughts. They train you to believe you're fundamentally wrong, broken, and the source of all conflict. It's a full-time job being the family piñata. Then, you have the golden child. This is your sibling, or sometimes a cousin, who can do no wrong. They are the narcissist's trophy, their external validation, their proof to the world that they are a perfect parent. The golden child's achievements are stolen and displayed as the narcissist's own. Their failures are either ignored, excused, or, you guessed it, somehow blamed on the scapegoat. If you hadn't stressed me out, I could have helped your brother more. The golden child isn't loved for who they are. They're prized for what they reflect. They're a shiny hood ornament on a broken-down car. But here's the kicker. It's a gilded cage. The golden child is also trapped, forced to perform a perfect role to keep the love and approval that's always conditional. One wrong move, and they could be in your shoes tomorrow. It's a sick, fixed game. The narcissist needs both of you to sustain their fantasy. They need the scapegoat to point at and say, "See? That's the problem, not me." And they need the golden child to point at and say, "See? That's because of me. I'm wonderful." And then, to run this whole corrupt operation, they deploy flying monkeys. This isn't a cute Wizard of Oz reference anymore. Flying monkeys are the enablers, the spies, the loyal foot soldiers. They're the other parent who says, "Just keep the peace," or siblings who've bought the propaganda, or extended family members the narcissist has recruited. Their job is to do the dirty work. They'll guilt trip you. "Why do you always upset your mother?" They'll deliver messages. "Your father is very disappointed you didn't call." They'll gang up on you to force you back into line, to get you to apologize, to get you to resume your role as the scapegoat so the narcissist world doesn't have to change. Think of it this way. The narcissist is the mob boss sitting in the back room. You're the guy who won't pay protection money. The flying monkeys are the muscle they send to your shop to break your windows and remind you who's in charge. They don't think for themselves. They just follow orders to preserve the sick, familiar system. So you're not just dealing with one person. You're dealing with an entire network, a system engineered to keep you in your assigned, miserable role. The scapegoat gets the blame. The golden child gets the empty, performative praise. And the flying monkeys enforce the whole sham. Your first step out of the madness is seeing the game board for what it is. You're not crazy. You were just cast in a terrible play you never auditioned for. Now, here's the critical shift you have to make. You have to delete your old idea of what a conversation with these people is. It's not a debate. It's not a negotiation for your basic humanity. It's an interrogation designed to re-establish control. The narcissistic parent controls the scapegoat through two main tactics: intimidation and alienation. Intimidation is the in-your-face stuff. The yelling, the cold, silent treatments that feel louder than any scream. The criticism that's not about what you did, but who you are. It's the threat, spoken or unspoken, that if you step out of line, you will be punished. The goal is to make you feel small, unstable, and afraid, so you'll fall back in line just to make the tension stop. Alienation is the more subtle, long-game poison. This is where they turn the flying monkeys loose. It's the whispered campaigns, the twisted stories they tell the rest of the family about you. "She's so sensitive. He's always causing drama. I don't know what's wrong with them." It's isolating you from potential allies, making you doubt your own memory, and making you feel like you're the crazy one living on an island all alone. They cut you off from the support system you should have, so the only version of reality you get is the one they feed you. Get the full, powerful novel that started it all. You can purchase Firewall on Amazon now and begin building your own fortress. Find it quickly on Amazon by searching for the keyword Firewall in the book section, or searching for my last name, Renyer. Walking into one of these talks trying to win, be understood, or get an apology is like willingly walking into that interrogation room. You're handing them the clipboard and the bright light. You're giving them another chance to use intimidation to break you down and alienation to cut you off. That's how you get your sentence extended. You leave feeling more drained, more confused, and more isolated than when you walked in. So scrap that mission. Here's the new, singular, non-negotiable directive. Your only goal is to leave the interrogation room. Your peace is found outside those walls. Every guilt trip, every dig is just another tool from their box, designed to keep you in the chair. Therefore, new protocol, effective immediately. You are not a detainee. You are a visitor who can revoke visitation rights at any time. Your job isn't to win the interrogation with logic. Your job is to notice the tactics, the raised voice, intimidation, the everyone agrees with me lie, alienation, and execute your exit. Your boundaries are your pass to walk out the door. Stop worrying about proving your innocence to the warden. Your only task is to stop accepting the sentence. They can rant from behind the glass all they want. You don't have to listen. You know you've succeeded not when they understand you. They won't. You succeed the moment you decide the conversation is over and you stop participating. That's the sound of your own freedom. That's a boring, one-word response followed by you leaving the room, literally or figuratively. Stop trying to pass their tests. Start realizing you don't need their permission to leave. That's the mindset shift. Now let's talk about the actual steps you take to walk out that door. Firewall Podcast Episode 2, Segment 3, Specific Responses. All right, enough with the philosophy. Let's get to the part where you stop getting your emotional pocket picked. This is where we move from understanding the concept to installing the actual software. We go from knowing you shouldn't engage to automatically not engaging, even when your fight or flight is screaming. Think of it like this. Knowing you should brake for a squirrel is one thing. Actually having your foot slam the brake pedal before your brain even processes the fluffy tail, that's muscle memory. We're building verbal muscle memory. The verbal Kevlar, your 5 neutral phrases. These aren't conversation starters. They are conversation enders. Your goal isn't to be interesting. Your goal is to be as interesting as a beige wall. Deploy these like you're a bored air traffic controller dealing with a pilot who wants to debate the meaning of clouds. 1. I hear you. Translation. The sound waves entered my ear holes. Message received, not debated, not agreed with. Receipt acknowledged. Transaction complete. It's the verbal version of a door closing softly in their face. 2. That's one way to see it. This is the nuclear option for when they present their crazy like it's the gospel. You're not agreeing. You're just acknowledging that, in the vast spectrum of human wrongness, their opinion exists. It subtly says, and there are 47 other ways, all of which make more sense. 3. I'll give that some thought. No, you won't. This is a polite deflection, a bureaucratic brush-off. It's the we'll put your resume on file of personal conversations. It doesn't promise change or future discussion. It's a delay tactic that never ends. 4. Okay. The single most powerful, boring, closed-loop word in your arsenal. It is not an agreement. It is a period at the end of their sentence. It provides zero emotional data, no argument, no handle for them to grab. Say it flatly. Its power is in its utter emptiness. 5. I'm not available for this conversation. This isn't neutral. This is your ejector seat. It's a clear, firm, emotionally detached boundary. You are not explaining why. You are stating a fact about your availability, the same way you'd say, the store is closed. There is nothing to logically debate. You're just closed. The gray rock principle. Becoming emotionally invisible. This is how you apply those phrases. Your goal is to become the most boring person on the planet. You are not a debater. You are a gray rock. When the drama-hungry coyote comes sniffing around, you don't be a juicy, emotionally reactive rabbit. You be a plain, gray, uninteresting rock. Keep your voice monotone. Keep your answers short. Keep your face as expressive as a slab of concrete. You are giving them nothing to feed on. No outrage, no hurt, no satisfying confusion. Just nothing. It feels weird at first, like you're a robot. Good. You're not disappearing. You're making your piece invisible to their radar. Now, let's get specific. Saying I need boundaries is as useless as saying I need the car to go. How? What lever? What pedal? Vague emotional pleas like don't disrespect me are gasoline on their fire. They hear an invitation to debate what disrespect means. All right, enough with the vague notions and good intentions. Good intentions are what got you into this emotional quicksand. We're not just sharing ideas here. We're crafting thoughtful responses. We're moving from feeling like a victim to acting like a strategist. This means creating when-then rules. Think of it like planning your route before you drive into a known traffic jam. You're taking the panicked, emotional version of you out of the driver's seat and putting a calm, prepared navigator in charge. You're installing a pre-planned detour that kicks in the moment you see brake lights. Here's how it works. We identify the specific, predictable scenario, the when, and we connect it directly to a calm, decisive action plan, the then. You don't scramble. You follow the plan. Let's map out that route together. Protocol 1. Blame shift detected. When the specific scenario of blame shifting occurs, e.g., if you weren't so selfish, I wouldn't have had to yell, or this is all your fault for making me feel this way. Then, deploy your prepared, thoughtful response. That's one way to see it. This phrase is a conversational stop sign. It doesn't agree with their direction, and it doesn't block their path with an argument. It simply marks where you will not go, followed by your pre-decided action. Physically leave the room. The map says this is a dead-end street. You have acknowledged it. Now you turn around, go to the kitchen, step outside, hang up the phone. The plan is complete. Continuing would be off the map. Protocol 2. Forced response trigger. When the narcissist tries to force a reaction with a classic intimidation or alienation tactic. This is the "after all I've done for you" guilt trip, the sudden silent treatment, or the "everyone thinks you're unstable" smear. Then, execute your boundary plan. I'm not available for this conversation. This is not an opening bid. It is your final statement on the matter. You are declaring the discussion closed, followed by immediate and silent follow-through. Hang up. Walk away. Close the door. Do not stand there waiting for a reply, which just gives them a new angle to attack. You have stated the interaction is over. Now make it true. Your silence and absence are the final period on the sentence. The power isn't just in the words. It's in the unbreakable link between their tactic and your prepared reaction. You are removing the frantic, on-the-spot decision because those decisions have always led to you getting lost. This is emotional preparedness. You see their predictable play, and you activate your planned countermove that preserves your stability. Your job isn't to be clever in the moment. Your job was to be thoughtful ahead of time, while you were calm, and craft your response. From now on, when the pressure hits, you're not fumbling for the right thing to say. You're reaching for the plan you already made. That's the shift. From victim to strategist. From reactive to prepared. Now let's get specific about what other scenarios we need a thoughtful plan for. The goal is to remove you, the emotional, reactive you, from the decision loop in the moment. The firewall sees the malicious signature, checks it against your rules, and executes the neutralizer. You don't have to think. You just have to let the system you built do its job. Firewall Podcast, Episode 2, Segment 4, Closing. All right, pull over for a second. I want you to look in the rearview mirror at the junkyard full of your past arguments. That crumpled fender? That was you trying to make them understand. The shattered headlight? That was the time you thought explaining yourself would help. Take a good, long look at that pile of scrap metal. We're done being the crash test dummy in our own lives. We've been through the first 3 segments of this firewall blueprint, and if you've been paying attention, a seismic shift just happened in your own cockpit. You've officially traded in your victim card, that laminated pass to get steamrolled, for a badge that says protector. You've stopped being the scapegoat. You know the role. The designated emotional dumpster. Standing there absorbing all the blame for the broken system, hoping if you just take enough of it, they'll finally run out and say, you know what? You're right. Our bad. Newsflash. The dump is infinite. They've got a direct line to a landfill of guilt, and you're just the site they've chosen to dump it on. And guess what? It doesn't matter anymore, because you've stopped standing on that lot. You put up a no trespassing sign and started building a structure on higher ground. You've gone from hoping for the best to engineering for reality. You're not a passive dumping ground anymore. You're the lead contractor on the rebuild, and you're finally installing the safety equipment you should have had 20 years ago. So here's the $1 million question, and I want you to be honest with the guy in the mirror. Can you actually live the no JADE?